needs and are able to encourage them to constantly do better and be excited about learning and love learning. That's not what's going to come from Common Core, and it's not what's going to come from the Common Core test. But that's my opinion. I'm sure you'll hear from others. Others may differ. But I would say that these tests, in order to have any validity, have to be, the test questions should be released after the administration. The other thing, and I can't close without mentioning this, you may have learned through the media that both test corporations are monitoring the social media of students. They have, I don't know how they do it, but they get the social media accounts of every student who takes their test. They're data mining them as they take the test, gathering information about them and putting it somewhere in the cloud so that they can develop products and sell it back to their school or their district. But there's no privacy. And students will have their tweets monitored, that will have their Facebook page monitored, and there will be keywords that the test developers are looking for. I think this is an unconscionable invasion of student privacy. And what the guidelines say, the security guidelines coming from both Pearson and the other test developers, is that students are not even allowed to discuss the test. Well, you know, if you go home and your father says to you, "How was the test?" Student's supposed to say, "Dad, I'm not allowed to say." I mean, come on, this is America. You should be able to talk about it was hard, it was easy. They ask this kind of a question, that kind of a question. But very honestly, to the extent that this test is given, it should be given at the same time everywhere. And maybe that's an impossibility. But frankly, in a country as big and diverse as this, it's unrealistic to think that you can have one test for every child in the same grade and give exactly the same grade and expect that it's not going to have a disparate impact. And we've already seen, as I pointed out to you, it will have a particularly bad impact on kids with disabilities, kids who are not good with the English language, and children who come from poverty and minority groups. They will fail and they will be stigmatized. And what is even more ridiculous is that under the current regime, hopefully not in Washington State, but it shouldn't be anywhere, their teachers will be evaluated as good teachers or bad teachers, depending on how their students did on these tests that were designed to fail them. That's a terrible burden to put on the children. The children know it. They know, they feel, and I've heard this from kids who've gone to testify at hearings like this one and said, "I don't want to be responsible for my teacher's job. That's wrong. That's wrong to put that on me." The children know this, and I think that it's unfair to them. It's also unfair to the teachers. And if you haven't seen it, I urge you to Google the statement of the American Statistical Association on this way of evaluating teachers called VAM, value-added modeling, value-added measurement. And the American Statistical Association said it may have its uses for a district or a school, but it should not be used to rate individual teachers because there are so many other things that play into whether the scores of children change, the biggest part of it being home influences and family income, and the teacher impact on test scores ranges from, as they said, 1 to 14%. So there are states that will fire teachers, take away their livelihood, take away their license, even though they had no control over their students' performance in most cases. So I leave you with the hope that you will think very seriously about this and think about the impact on children and think about whether you want a generation of children who've come to believe that education consists of testing. I don't. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak to you.